Greetings everyone, P. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Album War. Today we're going to look at two very popular, very kind of groundbreaking concept albums from two progressive metal bands of the modern era. Okay, we're going to go back to 1999 and 2000 respectfully. The first one is Dream Theater's Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. All right, can you see that? Here we go. And his opponent, or their opponent, Symphony X v. the new Mythology suite. Okay, so let's get started here, why don't we? All right. Hold on, let's pause that. We don't need it coming up again. So anyway, so both really great albums. All right. Two favorite progressive metal bands of myself, okay? When you talk about progressive metal, these are my two favorites, okay? Not necessarily the albums, but the bands themselves. I will tell you, both of these albums are very near and dear to me, okay? I picked them for a reason because I think most people consider, and both of these bands have done a lot of concept work, okay? For these guys, this was their first real stab into a full-blown concept album. And basically for them as well. You know, Symphony X did the Divine Wings of Tragedy a few years before that, but that was not a full-blown concept album. It was a big concept epic piece that they put on there, the Divine Wings of Tragedy. But the rest of the album followed different themes and what have you. So these, realistically, are their first kind of forays into concept storylines over a full album. This one came out first. This is the first album with Jordan Rudess on keyboards. So kind of a big change in the band. You know, Derek Sherinian had just left. Jordan comes on board. For my money, okay, probably next to Images and Words, the most important Dream Theater album in their discography. Everything works on here. The playing is stupendous. Just some of the kind of back and forth interplay between John Petrucci's guitar and new guy Jordan on keyboards is astounding on here. You got John Myung and Mike Portnoy doing their thing. James LaBrie sounds awesome on this. What I really like about this album a lot is that despite how complex and heavy it is, I mean, there's some ridiculously insane musicianship and arrangements on here. There's a lot of really catchy stuff going on here. This is what I always loved about Dream Theater, and especially their early material, is they put some of the best, most memorable melodies in a lot of their tunes. That despite how complex they were, how proggy they were, or even how heavy they were, their songs were memorable. And after you heard them for the first or the second time, you remembered those melodies. Okay? And this one is no exception. I personally, this is one of my favorite concept albums from like say 1990 and on. Okay, this one, in my opinion, probably 10 or 20 years from now, might go down as one of the greatest concept albums of the kind of prog metal era, right alongside Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime. So I guess I'm kind of giving my pick away here, but let's look at this one. So this one is also quite successful. So here, Michael Romeo, kind of the leader, songwriter, and guitar virtuoso from Symphony X, really wanted to create this grand concept with lots of orchestral themes and what have you that brought in a lot from classical music. And he really succeeded here. This one also, Symphony X is another band. And again, Symphony X, probably their roots are more from power metal, but they kind of adopted like that kind of neoclassical kind of shredding from like, Yngwie Malmsteen and what have you, with some like prog, like Kansas style prog, and kind of put together this sound that's not that similar to Dream Theater's sound, in my opinion. A little more aggressive, a little more speedy. Again, they got more of like a power metal element going through their music, but no less complex and melodic. And I think what I really like about this album and a lot of the Symphony X material is the quality of the arrangements matched up with those soaring melodies. I mean, come on, Symphony X's material is so memorable and so hummable. Okay, you got the great Russell Allen on vocals, who does a lot of different styles. In my opinion, he's a more versatile singer than James LaBrie, who I love a lot too. But I think Russell can do it all. He can do the rough, roaring, gruff stuff. He can do the soaring, high-pitched stuff. He's got that gentle crooning type thing. He can do it all. He's like a masterful vocalist, and he just absolutely shines on here. Of course, you got the shredding guitars from Romeo, Michael Pinella's keyboards, Jason Rulo's wonderful drums. Okay, a great Michael Lapon's bass as well. Don't want to forget him. Just a great ensemble work here with a lot of memorable tracks. Each one of these has like bits and pieces that are just, Home is great on here. What else? Beyond This Life, the Overture is fantastic. The Dance of Eternity, The Spirit Carries On. Great stuff on here. And here you got, what do you got here? Evolution, Fallen, Egypt is great. The Death of Balance, Absence of Light. A lot of really, really strong individual tracks among these entire concept works. So which one's my favorite? Okay, well, I'm going to lean with these guys. All right? This album came out first. This album really, really impacted me. And while I really love this album a lot, quite honestly, among their concept pieces, I actually like the Odyssey a little bit better, okay, than this one. Although I do like this one quite a bit as well. This one's a little bit more kind of complex and not as accessible as the Odyssey, I think, and not as this one. Even though this one, as far as sheer complexity in the song structures, I think is a little more complex than this one. This one a little more bombastic, okay, maybe heavier. They're both pretty heavy. So why didn't I pick the Odyssey? Well, I tried to pick the album that most folks who I've come into contact with always seem to mention when they talk about really, really strong and favorite Symphony X albums, and specifically their concept albums. So I chose this one, okay, because it is damn good, okay? But if I'm going to match them up side by side, we've got this is probably how it's going to wind up. So in my opinion, we've got going back to boxing, because that's what I kind of relate all this to, we're going to go to the scores of a 12-round championship fight. 116, 112, unanimous decision in favor of Dream Theater, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. But Symphony X puts up a really good fight. And you know what? If I were to do a lot more comparisons of Dream Theater to Symphony X albums, you might see a different victor, because I love a lot of the Symphony X albums as much as I like Dream Theater. I think I'm a huge fan of both these bands. I think if you look at their entire discographies, I might have a couple more ultra classic Symphony X albums than Dream Theater, but it's close because I love them both almost equally. So, but in this battle, Dream Theater is your victor, okay? Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're on the mighty YouTube. So for all of you who keep commenting that I'm wearing shirts that are going to be, they're going to give away my pick, I decided to throw you a curveball today, and I wore my Max Webster shirt to throw you all off. So, well, I decided to go against the grain today. But right now, just starting today, on our Facebook page, seek us out on Facebook, we are running a poll of these two albums against each other. So go over to our Facebook page and vote. Let us know whether you like Dream Theater or Symphony X in this battle royal. All right, and we'll see you next time for more classic album wars. Stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye.